milestone. We are humbled by the extraordinary attendance of delegations from all the SADC member states and the development institutions that work with SADC, such as the African Development Bank, the UNECA, the AU Commission, and COMESA, to mention but a few. These institutions are a pillar of SADC organization's strength, providing critical support for our programs. As we go through our agenda for SADC region, may we carry forward the vision of our SADC founding fathers, fathers who worked tirelessly to establish this organization with very clear goals and objectives. We trust that the program prepared for this summit will allow us to fully engage as community towards successful achieving our goals of regional integration and peaceful coexistence. Meeting this objective will translate into enhanced development and economic growth for the SADC region, alleviation of poverty, improved health conditions, and uplifting of the standard and quality of life and of the people of the Southern Africa. We are happy to see that in the build-up to this summit, the nation has been sensitized about the SADC ideals to which our kingdom is truly committed, and our people look forward to the outcomes. Engagement has been carried out through sensitization, workshops, multimedia messages, and at national level, where the multitudes gathered at the National Keklepaya, the People's Parliament. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the SADC Secretariat for working together with our teams in organizing this important event. Please bear with us where there have been shortcomings. This was not our intention. I'm hopeful that the facilities that we have put at your disposal, Your Excellencies, will surely meet your expectations. Sincere appreciation also goes out to all the sponsors who have made this event possible. We truly value your support. Once again, let me welcome all delegates to the Kingdom of Eswatini, and please enjoy the warm hospitality and the friendly smiles of the Swazi people. I invite you to find time to explore all the places of interest offered by the Kingdom. You could not have come at a more opportunity time, and I hope you enjoy a truly African welcome with our annual reed dance ceremony. You may still visit the ongoing international trade fair at your leisure. We are pleased that countries from the region are participating at the fair, which is good process towards our regional integration. And please enjoy your stay. I thank you. May Almighty God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Your Majesty, King Mswati III of the Kingdom of Swaziland, and host of the 36th Summit and incoming chairperson of the Southern African Development Community. Your Excellency, Lieutenant General Seretse Khama, Ian Khama, President of the Republic of Botswana, and outgoing chairperson of SADC. Your Excellency, Philip Nyusi, the President of the Republic of Mozambique and chairperson of the organ, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, the Secretary General of SADC, Dr. Stegomane Lawrence Tax, Excellency, Executive Secretary of Executive Secretary of United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, our brother Carlos Lopez, Chairperson of Council of SADC, Honorable Ministers, officials from capitals, members of the diplomatic corps and heads of international organizations and invited guests, and of course, our brother, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, Deputy President of South Africa and facilitator in Lesotho, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me at the outset to express my profound gratitude to our host, His Majesty King Mswati III and the Kingdom of Swaziland, its government and its people, for the warm welcome and truly African hospitality that has been extended to all of us, and also thanks to the SADC Secretariat for their welcome. Your Majesty, Excellencies, allow me to digress a bit and just to say how I appreciated the cultural ceremony here, in part because Swaziland is actually my home. Swaziland gave me a home during the days of our struggle when I had no home. And I spent 5 years of my youthful life as a doctor in one of the hospitals here. So being here is like coming back home. So it is a great pleasure and honor to be here again to the 36th SADC Summit, and I look forward to participating in the deliberations. As a family of nations, SADC has come a long way since its formation. The people of SADC, as rightly expressed by His Excellency the President of Botswana, I quote, have not only grown closer, but have embraced each other as brothers and sisters to the extent that a challenge in one nation has been defined and accepted as a regional challenge, close quote. So SADC must continue to share a common vision leading to its common future of peace and prosperity. The regional economic communities, as has been said, are the building blocks for the continental integration. So progress in SADC or in other RECs means progress towards continental integration. Excellencies, despite the global and continental headwinds, and including the impact of extreme weather conditions and instability due to internal conflicts and terrorism in some parts, Africa continues to do well. Growth for 2016 for the continent is still projected at about 3.7 against a lower global average. But we must remember that we need an average growth of 7% or above to achieve the rapid structural transformation necessary to create prosperity and a better life for all African people. So the SADC region, with some exceptions, has done well and is being connected through infrastructure, transport, energy, ICT. But of course, there is room for improvement, especially in the areas of energy, water, and sanitation. The region must also do more on maritime and blue economy, including building African shipping fleets. It must also do more in energy, including renewable energy, revitalization and expansion of our railway networks, including the creating the Pan-African integrated high-speed rail network to link the continent from Cape to Cairo and from Djibouti to Dakar. Excellencies, with over 200 million people in the region, it also has a critical role to play in the African skills revolution. The work being done in integrating and harmonizing higher education in SADC is commendable, and we expect more, especially in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and maths, as well as in vocational training and other skills. The recent summit of the AU in Kigali reflected on the importance of the continental free trade area and the free movement of people. In this context of promoting intra-African trade and investments, industrialization, tourism, agro-processing, as well as services, and develop Pan-African businesses more generally. Let me say that the tripartite process is expected to help to give impetus to the continental free trade area, linking up with other regions such as ECOWAS. Therefore, SADC is an important part of the of the tripartite, and without SADC's full involvement in the tripartite, there can be no CFTA in the near future. So I look forward to SADC really playing a facilitating role in this CFTA that we need so badly on our continent. Furthermore, we will fail to enrich our nations, to lift our peoples out of poverty, and to build shared prosperity unless we prioritize industrialization, value addition to the natural and mineral resources that are in abundance in this region and in the continent, including expanding our regional energy power pools, which we need energy for industrialization. But I'm glad that SADC has taken industrialization as an important part of its work. Again, Excellencies, at the Kigali Summit, we also introduced the second African Gender Scorecard. SADC countries are showing some progress in changing the economic and social situations of women. But of course, more needs to be done, especially in women in the political participation. Gender equality in the judiciary is still lagging behind. Let me also say that the region for the last few years had relatively good record in comparison with other regions in terms of stability and also in addressing conflicts peacefully. And I must really congratulate SADC, because if there is a problem in SADC, we know that SADC is going to take charge and deal with that problem. We don't need to come all the way from Ethiopia for that problem. So for that, I congratulate the heads of state of SADC. Excellencies, as we celebrate 2016 as the Year of Human Rights, we must do more to strengthen democratic rights, constitutionalism, social cohesion and inclusion, and the participation of citizens both in democracy and in the economy. This includes strengthening governance with citizens' demands for effective and efficient public service increasingly being raised as a key issue across the continent. As the leadership of SADC and Africa gathered here, I'm in no doubt, Your Excellencies, that these matters are at the foreground of your deliberations and your national and regional endeavors. As the Commission, we are looking forward to the domestication and implementation of Agenda 2063 towards a prosperous, integrated, and peaceful continent driven by its citizens and playing a dynamic role in the world. Your Majesty, Excellencies, let me conclude, since this is my last SADC summit as AU Commission Chair, by thanking Southern African community for the support you have given not only to me as Chair of the Commission, but also to the Commission as a whole. We are holding forth till the January 17th AU Summit as requested by the AU Heads of State and Government at Kigali, and we look forward to handing over to the next Commission thereafter. I also look forward to rejoining the citizens of this region once more in the SADC region. I thank you.
Your Majesty, King Mswati III of Swaziland, incoming Chair of SADC, and our gracious host. President Seretse Yankama, Chairperson of SADC, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Chairperson of the African Union, my sister and Addis Ababa neighbor, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Honorable Ministers, Executive Secretary of SADC and heads of African institutions, Excellencies, first spouses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased, Your Majesty, to be here with you today on this auspicious occasion. My eldest daughter graduated from Waterford Kamlaba, so Swaziland is a place I cherished. I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate SADC on the adoption of its bold industrialization strategy and roadmap, which champions economic transformation, competitiveness, and regional integration in the 15 member states. The concrete targets to lift the regional growth rate to a minimum of 7% annually and quadruple the contribution of manufacturing sector to GDP to 40% by 2050 are ambitious, yet achievable. I applaud the unequivocal commitment of SADC to chart this path to structural transformation and inclusive growth. Often, countries at the cusp of industrial transformation ponder on whether their entrance into a global economic tapestry, which is interwoven with numerous already established industrial powerhouses, is coming too late to achieve success. There is no denying that most SADC countries would be latecomers, some even newcomers to the global industrialization scene. However, history has shown time and time again that when adequately harnessed, the latecomer advantage presents significant opportunities. They can leverage their space, leapfrog into a higher economic growth trajectory, and may surprise many. So-called latecomers in the 70s, such as Singapore, South Korea, and China, have defied similar misconceptions and successfully industrialize within a span of a few decades, thereby lifting millions of their citizens out of poverty and socio-economic as well as climate vulnerabilities. The implementation of a well-tailored industrial policy was essential in advancing national development efforts in all those cases. It needs to be no different for African countries. Although the SADC region has had to contend with the devastating effects of El Niño on its agricultural sector this year, as well as the decline in commodity prices and the commensurate increases in currency volatility, we must not forget that the underlying economic fundamentals of the region remain robust. Inevitable variations among individual member states have to be taken into account, but this should not constitute a frame for us to see the regional bloc. A regional bloc with a real GDP growth over the past decade as strong as 4.68%, only marginally lower than the African average of 5%. Endowed with abundant and diverse mineral and natural resources, the SADC region boasts about 50% of the world's platinum and diamond reserves, 36% of its gold, and 20% of non-cobalt. The region also has vast arable land and forestry resources, and with a population of 321 million, SADC is home to 1/3 of our continent's inhabitants. The quality of the workforce is high, with tertiary enrollment rates of 6.3% and steadily increasing participation of both girls and boys in basic education. Infrastructure indicators in Southern African countries consistently rank above most other regions of the continent. In the 10 years between 1995 and 2005, infrastructure improvements are estimated to have boosted SADC growth by 1.2% per capita. The SADC region houses an extensive and well-developed transportation network. The density of paved roads is 92% compared to 38% in ECOWAS or 29% in Eastern Africa. 7 interconnected national railways form a regional rail network which cuts across half a dozen countries, linking in one geographic extreme the Democratic Republic of Congo to the Republic of South Africa on the other. In terms of energy, SADC has the highest electricity generation in Africa at about 302,000 gigawatt hours, although access to power remains, as we know, still low. It is no surprise, therefore, that Southern Africa is the top choice for investment in our continent. In 2014, the SADC region attracted nearly 30% of total inward foreign direct investment to Africa, amounting to close to $54 billion. It does not stop there. In the financial sector, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is the largest stock exchange in Africa and ranked as one of the world's 20 largest exchanges by its market capitalization of just $1 trillion. The SADC region also outperforms other regional economic communities with its level of infra-regional trade value. However, this constitutes only 17% of the total SADC trade and pales when compared to 21% in Latin America, 50% in Asia, or even 70% in Europe. These indicators, although promising, must, however, not conceal the need to eliminate critical bottlenecks impeding sustainable industrialization. It is important to note that the contribution of industries to GDP in the SADC bloc has remained stagnant at 32.9% over the last 5 years, and manufacturing even declined slightly from 12.2 to 11.2% during the same period. This trend needs to be reversed urgently in order to meet the region's industrialization targets. Sound infrastructure, will continue to form the foundation for further growth. Without more infrastructure investments, industrialization will not progress. More energy is needed to power industries, more paved roads and functional railways to enhance connectivity to regional markets, and efficient ports to allow jumping into global value chains. The Africa Infrastructure Diagnostics Group estimates that improvements in Southern Africa infrastructure could translate to an estimated increase of 3% to the regional per capita growth performance. To seize these growth opportunities, national, regional, and continental policy interventionist state policies will play a critical role. Success will entail enhancing critical enablers, including catalytic policies which support a favorable business and regulatory environment, which promotes domestic value addition, forward and backward linkages, and of course, technological growth. One of the advantages of being a latecomer is being able to learn from the experience of others. There is no one-size-fits-all solution to accelerating resource-based industrialization. But important lessons can be learned from the success of countries such as China, Chile, and Vietnam in promoting value addition, new services, and technological capabilities. China's economic growth is particularly remarkable and worth repeating through a series of bold reforms enshrined in its 5-year plans, promoted strategic industries, preferential tariffs and taxes, and policies supporting technological transfer. China was able to transform itself from a struggling third world agrarian economy into a global manufacturing powerhouse within just 3 decades. The rural poverty rate in China fell dramatically from 76% in 1980 to barely 8% today. China has been the world's largest exporter of finished goods since 2009. In Chile, we can see a success story of how a country can utilize its natural comparative advantage of mineral resources to transform into a high-income and diverse manufacturer in only 2 decades. Nicknamed the economic jaguar, Chile multiplied its GDP per capita 3 times between 1998 and 2008 to become the richest nation in Latin America. Poverty level fell dramatically and living standards have soared. Key to Chile's industrial success was strong collaboration between government, public sector agencies, private sector, research institutions, and development partners. Yet another interesting example is Vietnam. After 1975, post-war, Vietnam achieved impressive economic transformation by focusing on one thing, light manufacturing. GDP per capita increased from a dismally low $97 in 1989 to now close to 2,000, with the share of manufacturing to GDP growing only from 12.3% to 17.5%. Not only is Vietnam currently one of the largest clothing apparel exporters, it has also built a niche for itself in specialized heavy industries such as shipbuilding. In order to catch up with the earlier Asian tigers, Vietnamese industrial policy was centered on export promotion, expansion and diversification of its manufacturing with a rapid technological learning curve. What key lessons can be drawn from these examples? Firstly, value addition to commodities is the way to go. We know that it is in the SADC industrialization policy. Secondly, with a growing population and greater demand for food, agricultural and agro-processing possibilities should certainly be a central feature in any African industrialization strategy. And finally, larger markets are essential. SADC's economic geography is diverse, with its island states, coastal and even landlocked countries, large and relatively small economies with major transnational river basins. Effectively knitting together these countries creates a large market. The successful implementation of the Continental Free Trade Area would, for SADC, like for the rest of the continent, offer unique opportunities. It will create a free trade area that will cover more than 1 billion people with a combined GDP of over 3 trillion. Members to the CFTA across the continent will be able to reap the benefits from economies of scale in production and expanded market opportunities through intra-Africa exchanges. As the adage says, ladies and gentlemen, time waits for nobody, and there is no better moment than the present to focus our actions where our conviction lay. I thank you.
Your Majesty, King Mswati III of the Kingdom of Swaziland, and members of the royal household, Your Excellency, Mr. Filipe Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique and Chairperson of the SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, and Heads of Delegations, the Right Honourable Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Swaziland, the Honourable Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Your Excellency Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Dr. Tex, Executive Secretary of SADC, the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Chairman of the Council of Ministers, Honourable Ministers from the SADC region, Your Excellencies, Heads of Diplomatic Missions, SADC officials, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. Let me start from the outset on behalf of all of us to extend my condolences to our Executive Secretary, Dr. Tex, on the passing away of her mother recently. Now I would like to come to thank His Majesty most sincerely for the amazing spectacle that we witnessed yesterday, and that is the reed dance. It was one of the most colorful ceremonies in every sense of the word that I have ever witnessed, Your Majesty. You and your nation should be very proud of yourselves for that cultural extravaganza. It is not often that a president and his deputy would be out of their country at the same time, especially in the same foreign country. But when Cyril Ramaphosa heard that there was going to be a cultural event which involved hundreds and hundreds of young Swazi maidens, he said to President Zuma, on this occasion, you're not going alone. So don't think he's here for anything to do with SADC. Yesterday, as I was sitting next to President Zuma, I asked him whether the Zulu nation do anything similar. And he said to me that they do. So I wonder why, Your Excellencies, we have never been invited to South Africa. President Zuma has just wanted to keep them for himself. So, we will have to talk to the king of the Zulus to invite us the next time. Anyway, this reed dance would be a good reason for every single summit of SADC in future to be held in Swaziland. However, I do intend to introduce it to Botswana. And maybe the rest of us in the region should do the same thing. In fact, we have a habit of coming out with so many protocols in SADC. One more protocol won't make any difference. So maybe we should introduce a protocol introducing the reed dance in all nations in the region. I feel very honored as I stand here this morning to deliver the keynote address on the occasion of the 36th Summit of Heads of State and Government of SADC. Allow me at the outset to pay tribute to the government and people of the Kingdom of Swaziland through you, Your Majesty, for the tremendous hospitality, the very warm welcome, and for the wonderful facilities that have been put at our disposal at this summit. This, Your Majesty, is no exaggeration, and I'm not trying to be diplomatic. When I say the facilities are excellent, I really mean they are. Even as we traveled from the airport along the highway to our residence and coming here today, the decorations that we saw alongside the road is second to none. And I'd really like to commend you and the people of your government. Swaziland, like the chairperson of the AU Commission, is also dear to my heart. I attended school here, also at Waterford Kamklaba for 5 years. You will recall that the last ordinary summit held in Gaborone in August 2015 was convened under the theme, Accelerating Industrialization of SADC Economies Through Transformation of Natural Endowment and Improved Human Capital, whose objective was to bolster the SADC industrialization drive. It is encouraging to note that efforts towards the region's new process of industrialization continues to gain momentum, and the work on the preparation of the Industrialization Action Plan is at an advanced stage. I hope that with its adoption by Council at its next meeting in March 2017, the specific actions towards implementation of agreed interventions will accelerate industrialization in our region, as well as prosperity and welfare of all our people. During my tenure as chairman, I was concerned that the region continued to experience deteriorating access to water and energy supply, food insecurity, inherent poverty, and escalation of poaching and the illegal wildlife trade. The situation was further exacerbated by the severe drought and the El Nino effect during the last season, bringing about major hardships to our people, communities, and industrialists. It was against this background that I convened 3 key thematic workshops, which included high-level ministerial workshops on food security and poverty eradication, enhanced access to energy and water, and anti-poaching and the illegal trade in wildlife. The objectives of these workshops was to, first of all, raise awareness on the challenges the region is confronted with in these key thematic areas. Secondly, to establish the extent of the challenges and adverse impact on the SADC economic development agenda. Thirdly, to engage in a broad-based multi-stakeholder discourse in order to analyze and share lessons learned on these challenges. Fourthly, that we should devise strategies and proposals that the region could implement to address and mitigate challenges of food security, poverty, water and energy crisis, as well as the illegal trade in wildlife in the short, medium and long terms. And finally, to develop an action plan which the region would consider to adopt, roll out, and to periodically review as part of its program implementation. I'm pleased to advise you all that the report on the outcomes of these workshops has been presented to Council and will be presented to this summit for consideration. In relation to regional economic performance, available data provided mainly by Member States indicate that the overall economic performance for the region in 2015 showed marginal growth. While external factors have largely contributed to the current unsatisfactory performance of the region, internally, many economies of the region remain undiversified, and as such, they are unable to absorb such shocks, including falling commodity prices. The fall in international oil prices and climate change factors, including drought and floods, have also affected economic performance of member states to a varying extent. The region's cereal demand and supply analysis shows that the region recorded an overall cereal deficit of 9.3 million tons for 2016-17 marketing year, and that only one country, Zambia, recorded a cereal surplus. Currently, about 40 million people in the region are food insecure. It is therefore critical that the region should rise to the occasion and institute the necessary mitigation and recovery measures. In light of the above, I wrote letters to all SADC heads of state and government on the declaration of the drought. I also launched a humanitarian appeal to close to $2.4 billion for the SADC region in July. And I'm confident that with the support of our partners, we can overcome this challenge. I'm also pleased to note that the region is united in coordinating the systems and institutional requirements for an effective importation and distribution program of food and non-food commodities. I therefore wish to call upon our international cooperating partners to continue to support SADC in this endeavor and to render the necessary humanitarian and material support to meet the requirements of the region. On the political, defense and security cooperation side, the Republic of Seychelles, as we've just heard from the Executive Secretary, and the United Republic of Tanzania held successful elections since the last summit held in August 2015. And as you all know, we still await the outcome of the recently held elections in Zambia. May I therefore take this opportunity to congratulate the people of the Republic of Seychelles and President James Michel, the people of the United Republic of Tanzania and the President John Magufuli for the credible elections and their victories. Related to elections, I had the opportunity to open the Electoral Commission's Forum for SADC countries, whose mandate is to ensure the management of elections is improved. I'm encouraged by their mandate and their will to enhance democracy through the conduct of credible elections in the region. Whilst in the most part, the general elections in SADC countries were free and fair, there were, however, incidents of pre-election violence that even resulted in loss of life. Therefore, there's still need to build on tolerance in our political arena. In the same vein, elsewhere in the SADC region, we also recorded some unrest and anti-government protests about postponement of elections and others involving concerns about economic hardships. We also noted with great concern continuing hostilities in one or two countries by rebels. So we should, as SADC, take heed of some of these events as early warning of potential instability and take steps to offer our services in an attempt to ward off any deterioration of these situations. SADC has continued with mediation efforts in the Kingdom of Lesotho. I convened the Double Troika Summit twice in January and in June to assess progress made since the August 2015 summit in Gaborone, Botswana. A progress report will be presented to this summit meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to commend the Prime Minister of Lesotho for his leadership and commitment to the process, and to also thank the Chairman of the organ, President Nyusi, for his sterling work during his period of mandate. In addition, SADC, through the Republic of South Africa, also hosted the Amani Africa 2 field training exercise between October and November 2015. This exercise brought together all regional economic communities and regional mechanisms, contributed to the consolidation of Africa and SADC's capacity to conduct and deploy peace support operations. I wish to commend and thank all member states that contributed graciously and participated in this exercise. On the continental front, although the process of electing the new chairperson of the African Union was not concluded in July, we applaud the region for uniting around the candidature of Honorable Dr. Pelonomi Vincent Moitoi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Botswana. I wish to recognize everyone's continued support for our candidate until the next round of elections, which is set for January 2017, and to take this opportunity to thank the AU chairperson for her leading role in leading our continental organization. Let me, as I close, commend the Executive Secretary and the staff of the SADC Secretariat for the good work that they did in coordinating and supporting the SADC Chair and the Chairman of the organ, in moving our agenda forward against a backdrop of many challenges they also faced, which include capacity and an ever-growing agenda. For me, it was a pleasure to work with Dr. Tex and her team, people who are very committed and dedicated to our organizations, and they always conducted themselves in a very professional manner. So too, I would like to thank the Chairman of the Council of Ministers and the Chairman of the officials. Let me express my gratitude on behalf of the government and people of Botswana for having been honored and trusted in leading this body for the last 12 months. In discharging our mandate, we were humbled by your overwhelming support, which made our task an easy one. As we hand over the baton to the Kingdom of Swaziland, I urge all our member states to accord Swaziland your usual and undoubted support. Moving forward, there is no doubt that collectively, in implementation of our programs is the only option, as it brings a win-win situation to all of us, and that the vestiges of individuality can no longer further our interests. It is therefore my honor and privilege to officially declare this 36th Ordinary Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government officially open, and I shall now be taking the liberty to hand over the baton to His Majesty King Mswati III of the Kingdom of Swaziland, and I wish to take this opportunity to wish him all the very best. Thank you very much for your attention.
Your Excellency, President Theresa Khama, President of the Republic of Botswana and outgoing Chairperson of SADC, Your Excellency Filipe Nyos, President of the Republic of Mozambique, the SADC organ on politics, the Chairperson of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security cooperation, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Makoskati and First Ladies, Your Royal Highnesses, the Prime Minister, the Vice President from the Republic of South Africa, Councillors, Chiefs, Chief Justice, Your Excellencies, Your Excellency Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Lawrence Tax, Executive Secretary of SADC, Your Excellency Dr. Carlos Lopez, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Your Excellency the Executive Secretary of COMESA Ngwenya, the Chairperson of SADC Council of Ministers and Ministers, Heads of international and regional organizations, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners and members of the Diplomatic Corps, international cooperating partners, senior officials from the SADC member states and SADC Secretariat, the media, fraternity, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a privilege for the Kingdom of Eswatini to be given this opportunity to host this 36th Summit of Heads of State and Government. As a country and a member of SADC, we commit ourselves to do our utmost best to make sure that during our tenure, we uplift SADC and enhance her efforts to overcome the challenges faced by member states. Allow me to take this opportunity to pay tribute to our outgoing chairperson, Lieutenant General Dr. Theresa Khama, Ian Khama, President of the Republic of Botswana, for the exemplary manner in which he steered our organization during the last year. I'm sure you will all agree with me that he kept the trust on our agenda very high, and the progress we have made is inspiring for the region. I also wish to thank your good selves, all the SADC heads of state and government, for your unusual and unwavering support. Our theme this year is being held under the theme Resource Mobilization for Investment in Sustainable Energy Infrastructure for an Inclusive SADC Industrialization for the Prosperity of the Region. This theme is derived out of the desire to see the numerous initiatives launched by SADC over the years becoming a reality for the benefit of our peoples. We have reached a juncture where, as member states, we need to show commitment to our objectives by contributing to a fund that would serve as start-up capital for our programs and projects in the various sectors. This fund can be used as collateral as we seek to raise funding from external sources to implement infrastructure projects in the region. During our tenure, we intend to focus our energies towards raising these funds, which we hope will not only come from member states, but also from our international partners. The lack of resources has also stalled the full attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. We therefore have to speak in one voice to resource mobilization. They say a unified force is stronger than a unilateral force. SADC presents a unified force, so we hope we can strengthen our capabilities and speak as one family. There should be no room for failure, as our success will have a positive impact on our region and create a better future for our people. Your Excellencies, as heads of state and government, we should aim to develop the region into one that offers the world a conducive investment climate that is ready to host any investor in any country of his choice. We need to attract industries in research, education and training, tourism and finance, among others, which can provide the much needed job creation, especially for our youth. We do believe that the SADC has a lot to offer for investors, as we have a dynamic workforce that is committed to working hard for the benefit of the region. We need to have a well-coordinated system to create and enable infrastructure to promote a variety of projects that can contribute positively to our development. We also need an effective monitoring and evaluation mechanism to track progress on whether we are able to achieve set targets. We propose that at the end of this summit, we should set ourselves timeframes for our programs so that we are able to present milestones we have achieved during the next summit. These achievements should be comprehensive, with top priority being economic growth. The world is confronted by financial challenges with sluggish economic growth. This, therefore, has negative effects on our region, which hinders our development and slows our growth. We cannot afford to experience this every year because of the multiple programs we have to fund. Our task is to find solutions to these challenges. Your Excellencies, as the Kingdom of Eswatini, we recognize that investment in sustainable energy is a catalyst to the realization of the SADC industrialization agenda. Investment in energy will contribute towards increasing productive capabilities for a sustainable and inclusive industrialization. To this end, it is our view that we must continue to focus on the priorities espoused by the revised Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2015-2020. The three core pillars of the strategy and the roadmap are industrialization, competition, and regional integration. As we gather here to put our collective minds towards finding solutions for the challenges we face as a region, we need to start thinking outside the box. Africans were not born to be poor. We are highly capable of becoming innovative and creating a first world status for our nations. We must, however, discard the tendency of failing to support one another. We are reminded of a Swazi man who approached King Sobhuza II with the dream of building a helicopter. The king was encouraged by his innovation and called him to present his project to the nation. Unfortunately, the helicopter flew only 5 kilometers. When it could not take off to fly back home, people laugh at the man and even question his state of mind. Naturally, he was discouraged. What we failed to realize was the innovation and creativity on display. All it needed was support to empower him. There are many such cases across Africa where we fail to support innovative and create people because we do not believe in them. However, if we adopt thought processes that encourage positive thinking, such as the Blue Ocean Strategy, SADC measures would realize tremendous results. Therefore, I urge you all that from this summit, let us use our exposure to well-developed countries to instill the belief in our fellow citizens that life in the first world countries was possible for all Africans. Your Excellencies, today we are confronted by drought, and yet most of our citizens depend largely on agriculture for a living. The drought has come at a great cost to our cattle and caused water rationing. If this could be prolonged, it would be even more disastrous for many people in the region. This will also cause severe food shortages. Agriculture also provides employment and contributes to our economies. We therefore have a huge challenge to address the effects of drought by improving our weather forecasting systems. I am glad to note that SADC has set up a center for signal detection to warn of impending drought and natural disasters. If our systems have shortcomings, we then need to strengthen this center to be more effective. This information, if provided early enough, could also prompt governments to build dams for harvesting water on time. Your Excellencies, the Kingdom of Eswatini wishes to dedicate the establishment of a SADC University of Transformation, which will be the next milestone in our journey, which started in 1990. The University for Transformation will deliver in educational and training terms using the technical vocational educational training model of delivery. This initiative will give new hope and opportunity to our youth and our women. The intention is to have the first intake of students prior to the 37th SADC Summit in 2017. The Swaziland government is offering scholarships for 300 students in the initial intake to be drawn from all 15 community members. Which is 20 students per member country. We warmly and wholeheartedly commend the SADC University of Transformation to you, and the Kingdom is asking for support for this imaginative initiative from all my fellow heads of state. Your Excellencies, may I also take this opportunity to thank the people of the Republic of Tanzania, Seychelles, and Zambia for the peaceful presidential and parliamentary elections. Even though the results for the Zambia elections have been put on hold due to court processes, we wish to encourage patience as well as acceptance of whatever ruling that may come from the courts. Your Excellencies, we look forward to fruitful deliberations and positive outcomes of this summit, which, when implemented, shall elevate the quality of lives and security of our people in the region. I thank you. May Almighty God bless us all.
Everyone must come this side. Please, everyone will come this side. Guys, come this side, everyone.
Hey, this is SABC.
Take it, Baba. Take it to go.
Everybody, that side. That side. Meet at that side. Meet at that side. Meet at SABC. This is the SABC.
Ja, just yeah, now almost.